about the natural language processing. Logic and predicate calculus. Natural language processing, or NLP, is an interdisciplinary activity that draws on linguistics, logic, and computer science. Therefore, NLP is shared between linguistic, logic, and computer science. It is a natural language processing which is shared between these fields, linguistic, logic, and computer science. Logic and language. Here we want to be familiar with these terms. Logic and language. Logic is traditionally regarded as falling within the domain of philosophy. Logic is concerned with philosophy. The relationship between logic and linguistic has been manifest particularly within the field of grammatical and semantic analysis. Predicate calculus is concerned with laws or truths in systematic deductive form and representing the internal structure of propositions. Propositions is like the is a kind of sentence, and a proposition is the raw form of each sentence. For example, one example of proposition is Mr. Lion Smith is the secretary. We want to see that how we can represent it in the corpus linguistic by computer. We show and we represent this sentence in this way. This proposition, we use the proposition instead of the sentence. It is a raw form of the sentence which exists in our mind. Here we write just the noun, and after that Mrs. Lion Smith in this way. Is used to represent the proposition Mrs. Lion Smith is the secretary. This means this sentence. In the same manner, the sentence the cannon was too highly charged may be represented as cannon too highly charged. Here we represent it in this way. The predicate cannon has one argument, too highly charged. This is known as a one-place predicate. Because it has just one predicate, we called it as one-place predicate because it has just one argument. More complex propositions can be expressed in terms of open sentences, which contain a number of arguments. Therefore, this sentence and this sentence are one-place predicate because they have just one argument. But some sentence, like the open sentence, has more than one place predicate. For example, in this sentence, we have two place predicate. I and message over systems. The predicate is issue has two argument. Here we have two argument. I and message over system, and in natural language we would interpret this proposition as I issue a message over the PA system. Even more complex proposition may be expressed by nesting one proposition inside another. Thus, a sentence, I consider it a good idea to issue a message over the PA system, can be represented in this way. We have consider here. Here we have one argument. Issue is another argument. Message over system is another argument. Here we have three arguments, which we separate them from each other by the parentheses. About the logic and computer science. Prolog is a logical programming language. Is a logical programming language invented by Alain column row around about 1970. Here you should know that what is Prolog is a logical programming language. It enables a solution to be arrived at by manipulating facts and rules within predicate logic. This provides a syntax similar to natural language. A Prolog program consists of a database of facts and rules. Let us assume that the database contains these facts. Producer, which has this argument. Secretary, by this argument. Chairman, by this argument. Okay, if we now ask the Prolog system, we want to ask a question through the Prolog system. Here we have the question mark, which followed by this preposition in this way. Secretary is Lion Smith. Which means that then Prolog searches through the database, and when it finds the matching clause, it replies yes. Alternatively, if we ask secretary who is secretary, we represent them in this way. Prolog replies who, Mrs. Lion Smith. Notice that who begins with a capital letter here. This indicates that it is a variable. On the other hand, Mrs. Lion Smith begins with a lowercase letter to indicate that it is a constant. Rules may be formulated using this symbol to represent two operator if. Therefore, we show if in such a rule in this by this symbol. Thus, the rule the canon is too highly charged if the bank is too low may be represented thus in this way. Canon too highly charged is its preposition, its argument, and here this symbol means if. We put this symbol at the end of the first preposition, and in the line below that we write another preposition which followed if. The canon is too highly charged, we show it in this way, and after that we have if, which this symbol stands for if. And bank too low, if the bank is too low, which it comes after the symbol at the next line. Let us assume that database contains the following information. Canon too highly charged if bank too low, bank too low. If we ask Prolog the question, a question mark canon problem. What is the canon problem? Then Prolog searches the database looking for the statement bank too low. When it finds it, Prolog replies problem too highly charged. About the Dcg grammars, using a logical programming language such as Prolog, it is possible to formulate a parse tree for a given sentence as a set of rules. The grammar that results is called a definite clause grammar, or DCG. A DCG, or definite clause grammar, works like the figure 2.11 could be an extract from a grammar of English. Here we can see that the representation of DCG as a whole, we have such a features. For example, we have sentence. We use such a symbol to show another matter, noun, phrase, a noun phrase, verb phrase. Sentence contains noun phrase and verb phrase. A noun phrase can contain a determiner and noun. Verb phrase can contain verb, noun phrase, verb, noun phrase, and verb phrase can contain just verb. Determiner can be the and N. Noun is canon, Roger, and producer. Here we analyze our sentences by this rule. Verb fire, damaged, brought. We had three argument, three proposition, and we show them in the separate line. Figure 10.11 Dcg grammar. Here you can see the sample of Dcg grammar, which is for definite clause grammar. This grammar consists of a set of rules which specify the form that a certain phrase can take. Here it is its form and its rules. For example, the first rule says that the sentence can take the form of a noun phrase followed by a verb phrase. Okay, a noun phrase which can follow by a verb phrase. Given such a set of rules, Prolog can be used to parse a sentence to check if it conforms to those rules. For example, if we ask sentence, Roger fired the cannon, we have such preposition which followed by question mark. Prolog checked to see if Roger fired the cannon is a sentence in terms of the rule in the database. If it matches, then Prolog replies yes. Given the set of rules above, Prolog would also recognize the cannon fired Roger as a sentence. However, Roger cannon the fire would be rejected, since it does not conform to the rules in the database. A vital part of NLP is morphological analysis, which allows features such as plural form and agreement to be incorporated into a DCG. About the matching translation. Despite jokes like the one about a computer that translated the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak into Russian as the vodka is good but the meat has gone off. Matching translation MT is rapidly expanding. Since the cost of human labor has risen rapidly expanding over the years, whilst the cost of computers has plummeted. It is easy to see why. Contemporary translation systems still frequently produce error, but the technology has established a clear rule for itself. One of matching translation's early success was TAOM method. This system was developed in Canada in 1965. Since 1977, it has translated approximately 15 million words a year from English to French without significant human intervention. TAOM method uses a small dictionary of 2,000 words and expressions to translate hourly forecasts. French to English translation capability were added in 1989. Matching translation is particularly well suited to this sort of task, which is task specific, involving repetitive task situations and limited vocabulary. Tasks more demanding than translations of the weather report require subsequent post-editing by a human translator. Professional translators spend between a quarter and 3/4 of their working time on vocabulary problem. Machine-aided translation largely overcomes this factor. MT employs DCG rules to translate from one language to another via the interlingua. Parse tree or interlingua is generated for the input sentence in language 1. This tree is then passed on into the DCG rules for language 2 as a variable from which the language 2 sentence is produced. The advantages of an interlingua become more evident when one considers the task of translation between more than two languages. Consider the challenge of translations between the non-European community languages. Translating directly between the pairs of languages would require 72 independent systems. Translation through an interlingua is far more economical. In this manner, translation between strings of all 9 language needs only 9 pairings with a single neutral interlingua. About the lexicography and computers electronic dictionary. In a PhD thesis of Exeter, Kipfer Westerland concludes that not only do computerized methods is some tedious task and enhance the collection, development and writing of definitional data, they also put lexical data into a form from which users are able to search from meaning to word. She says such onomasiological access as vital to the future of the lexicography and electronic database form the only way to achieve this. Many word processing applications include spelling checker that compare each word in a text with word in a dictionary on disk. In addition, thesauri which search for synonym are often incorporated in word processing application. Many of the electronic dictionaries now available may be used in conjunction with a word processor to write in a foreign language. A word or phrase from the dictionary may be passed directly into the document. Some dictionaries load into DOS memory on PCs. Lexicon German English German Learners Dictionary in Canada is one such dictionary. Another is Collins Online as a bilingual dictionary available for English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish languages. It also has the facility to create personal glossaries. Dictionaries are on a CD-ROM are able to handle far more data than it can be loaded into DOS memory. The Oxford English dictionaries on a computer disk on such dictionary operates within a Windows environment. Another Harap CD-ROM multilingual dictionary database handles 12 languages: English, French, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Finnish, Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, Dutch, and German. Chinese and Japanese terms may be keyed in using the Roman alphabet. However, it is possible to obtain the kanji characters on the screen. The idea of the electronic dictionary available online around the world has obvious appeal. Eurodicotum is a continuously updated terminology databank containing scientific and technical terms, contextual phrase abbreviations in official EU languages. It is produced by the translation services of the Commission of the European Communities, from which it also derives its source. It is available online via the European Communities Host Organization, or OCHO, which provides access to a range of over 20 databases and a data bank dealing with a wide range of subjects. ECHO was established in 1980 to encourage and contribute to the use of online information within the European community, and is the responsibility of the Director General Telecommunication, Information Industry and Innovation. Lexicographic software. In a PhD thesis at Exeter, Aussie, observes that the application of computer techniques and facilities has become almost inevitable, facilitating and encouraging an increase in linguistic databases. A context-oriented dimension to lexicography is encouraged by computer-generated concordances. Furthermore, computer applications enable regular and constant updating of both content and format of dictionary. The introduction of electronic processing facilitates the process of lemmatization. The traditional method of organizing dictionary material is to record data on slips of card and file, seized by lemma. However, the introduction of electronic processing facilitates the process of lemmatization. There are three ways in which computer may perform the task. Firstly, the lemma may be assigned automatically to a word form according to roots. Secondly, the text may be pre-edited so that each word is accompanied by its lemma. Thirdly, a computer-readable looking up dictionary may be used for checking and matching. Lexical was developed by R. Vensky for Dictionary of Old English. It is employed for dictionary constructions and lexical analysis. First text is stored in lexical. Editing is then possible whereby citations may be called up and corrections made. Next, concordances are made and keywords alphabeticized. The alphabeticized keywords are then matched with dictionary. And headwords. Where an ambiguous, this lemmatization process is automated in subsequent text analysis. Lexical may be employed by beginner and advanced users. Lexa, a set of program for lexical data processing written by Raymond Hickey of the University of Munich, became available in 1993. It is comprised of the range of software which will carry out lexical analysis and information retrieval tasks from text corpora. Text is lemmatized via tagging. The user specifies what possible words are to be assigned to what lemmas. The result is taken care of by the program. In addition, one can create frequency lists of the type and token occurring in any loaded text, make a lexical density table, transfer textual data in a user-defined manner to database environment. The second main function of Lexa is to provide a flexible and efficient means of retrieving information from text corpora, a range of parameters for combining through text files or database generated by Lexa from text files of a corpus may be specified. The occurrence of syntactic context may be ascertained by specifying search strings. Whilst computer programs may facilitate homograph separation for most languages, the process cannot at present be fully automated electronically, and extensive human intervention is required, in particular with regard to assigning lemmas to instances of unique spelling and citation in a concordance. However, much progress is being made toward automatic lemmatization of English, notably at the University of Lancaster. About the dictionary layout, you should know this matter which I explained for you as a whole, just the important point, those important which have definition. This matter are important. For example, some terms, the definition of some terms, and you should know the extended form of abbreviated terms in this text. And computer has a vital role in lexicography, and we have some online dictionary in this time, and we should know something about the dictionary and lexicography. Presentation is the term sometimes used to refer to the process of dictionary making concerned with the editorial treatment of data. One particular concern in this area is that of page layout in the dictionary. The Danlex group in 1987 observed that a large number of different characters and typefaces are needed in general dictionary compilation. Kukawa in 1989, an MA student and etc., observes that usage labels in EFL dictionaries are usually placed on a point of vantage where they can easily attract attention. This point of vantage, however, varies among publishers. With regards to illustrations in dictionaries, language in another MA dissertation at etc. observes a lack of any conformity of approach amongst publishers with regard to layout. This suggests that there is indeed a scope here for lexicographers to experiment. She also points out that in the past, illustrations in dictionaries have been partly impeded by technical problems of producing text and illustrations on the same page, even after the appearance of a computer typesetting. Nowadays, however, a number of desktop publishing packages are available that enable the lexicographer to experiment fairly with page layout, typefaces, columns, and the positioning of illustrations amongst text. There is a great deal of scope for experiment and research here, and it may be that the future will see some significant improvements in the visual appearance of dictionary page layout. Here we read something about the dictionary layout, which was different, and it varies between the publishers. And about the computer assisted language teaching. The computer is of benefit in the field of language teaching, both for self-access and as an aid to the teacher. Grammar and vocabulary. Despite a criticism of the behaviorist approach to language teaching, syntactic and lexical drills are valuable activities when incorporated into a varied methodological teaching program. Drills may be automated with the computer as knower of the correct answer. In the field of artificial intelligence, it is possible to create programs that automatically parse a sentence created by the learner. Automation not only frees the teacher from the repetitive task of marking, but also makes this an ideal activity for self-access. In self-access situation, the learner is free to proceed at his or her own pace. A criticism often leveled at repetitive drills is that they do not appear to be particularly motivating. A good deal of thought has therefore gone into finding ways to make this activity more stimulating. One formula that comes to terms with this problem is the computer as a playmate. This approach utilizes word guessing games, which may be based on conventional clause techniques or jumbled sentence. One such game program is Storyboard, With this program, the player gets a chance to see text for a few seconds. Then she or he has reconstruct the text by guessing individual words until the text is complete. Memory, grammar, and logic all come into play. Storyboard has an authoring facility. This allows the teacher to enter 18-line text for the student to work with. Recent trends have seen a move away from this programmed learning orientation towards data-driven learning, in which the learner is given access to target language corpora by means of concordensing software. Once learners are familiar with a concordancer, they may use it as readily as a dictionary to find examples of usage from their chosen corpus. A student's use of a concordancer involves more than looking up facts. A single consultation has a tendency to raise other questions, requiring further concordances. This leads to a kind of conjectural learning. Here we see the grammar and vocabulary in dictionaries. About the writing, word processors transforms the computer into a sophisticated and flexible writing tool that enables a writing task to be approached in new ways. Text can be easily edited, words altered, and chunks of text moved around. Students can be given a guided writing task in which they are given a piece of text which they have to alter in some way. They might, for example, be asked to convert a text in the present tense to past tense. Or the student might be asked to fill gaps in previously prepared text. Papert in 1980 observes that the word processor can transform the learner's attitudes to writing. It not only eliminates much of the arduous exertion involved in writing, but since the teacher's comments can now take place before completion, the final printout is clean and tidy and free from red-penned corrections. The final output of the learner's efforts need not necessarily be a paper printed printout. Via electronic mail, it is possible for the learner to have a computer pen pal in another country. And about the speaking and listening, programs used for speaking and listening activities fall in two types. Firstly, there are the interactive video programs intended for self-access, in which the dialogue is scripted. Secondly, there are the simulation and adventure games, in which the dialogue is unscripted and free conversation or negotiation take place between a class. CD-ROM's multimedia capabilities are used in some programs to provide interactive video and sound. Amongst the programs available are Vector Language Learning Program for business, available for French, German, and Spanish. These are primarily intended for self-access and deal with a number of situations such as booking into a hotel or ordering drinks at the bar. The student watches the video and listens to a dialogue. She or he can then take the part of one of the characters in the dialogue and then listen to the dialogue played back. There are help windows for lexes and structures. In simulation and roleplay, students play the parts of other people in a given situation. These activities are unscripted allowing students to converse freely in a variety of modes and attitudes. The computer provides input of fresh data at regular intervals throughout the simulation. There are a number of computer simulations suitable for language teaching. One such program is Great Britain Ltd, in which students are invited to run the British economy for a 5-year period. Participants first choose a political party. They are then given information on a country's economy, rate of inflation, level of currency reserves, amount of welfare benefits, and etc. Over 5-year period, the students make adjustments to these variables. The computer gives an updated set of figures yearly. Such games are frequently highly motivating and arouse a high level of debate. Adventure games differ from simulation like Great Britain Ltd in that they consist of a single story with a definite plot. One such program is the Wizard and Princess, in which the task is to rescue the princess who has been kidnapped by an evil wizard. This involves crossing deserts, seas and mountains whilst avoiding obdurate traps set by wizard. Commands are accepted by the program in a kind of simple English. Apart from being powerful motivators, adventure games provide a stimulus for oral communication in the class. But about the attitude towards the computers, the way that the role of the computer in a language classroom is perceived by both students and teachers is a vital factor. One MA student at Exeter Al-Muzail investigated by questionnaire the attitudes of both students and teachers to the use of computers in language center at Kuwait University. Staff and students alike recognize the growing importance of computers in language learning. The teacher's role was felt to be enhanced by the computer taking over certain mundane tasks. In addition, the computer was noted to be particularly engaging with regard to students' attention. However, it was also noted that computer-assisted language learning CALL need to be thoughtfully incorporated to bring variety into a larger teaching program, yet should not be overused so as to allow boredom to set in. Conclusion. In this part we summarize all part of this article. The wide array of computer applications available provides a sort of toolkit to the linguist. They enable very large amount of data to be manipulated and complex or repetitive tasks to be automated. Furthermore, the time saved allows the linguist to take on tasks which would otherwise be beyond his or her means. This in turn is profoundly influencing the overall direction that lexicography and linguistics in general are taking. This is witnessed by the growth in research that we are experiencing in the area of corpus linguistics. Computers today enable the vast amount of data involved in this field to be handled quickly. Moreover, annotation of the corpus facilitate electronic access, thereby making the computer an even more effective tool. The Coupling of audio recorded speech with on-screen transcription is made possible by CD-ROMs, multimedia capability. The development of a commercially available software has assisted extraction of data from a corpus. However, in the event of commercially available software not being available for the task in hand, there are programming languages available to the linguist to write his or her own applications. In spite of all that, computers have to offer human intervention is still necessary, notably in matching, translation, and lemmatization. Nor is the language teacher likely to be replaced by the computer in a foreseeable future. Instead, the computer fulfills the role of an extremely useful classroom aid to assist the teacher, taking over certain mechanical tasks and freeing the teacher to concentrate on the human aspect of the teaching. In this session and in the previous session, we were familiar with the role of computer in applied linguistics, and we referred to some point and some terms about the corpus and computational linguistics. Just you should read the important matter. Some information are not necessary to know. Just read those information which are important. In some part we just read the role of computer about the skills of language, which they are not very important, and you should pay attention to the important subjects, and all part of this article is not important. The examples are not important very much. You should know the information and how the details are not very important. The terms and their definition in brief will be important for the final exam. Please read them and ask me your question and your concerns through the WhatsApp group, and send you and please do your task in the special time.